Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2019. Time is 6:30 p.m. The regular meeting of the Greensburg Redevelopment Commission is called to order. At this time, if everyone would please silence your electronic devices. And then we would all stand and we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Roll call. Judy, would you conduct roll call, please?
David Weigel.
Present.
Adam Wenzel.
Present.
Ken Dornick. Darren Covington.
Here.
Jody Kaufman. Here. Shannon McFood.
Thank you. Approval of minutes of our July 18, 2019 regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I have been made aware there are 3 corrections I shall be making.
What are they?
I messed up the numbers in what we're paying for the concrete work by 2 decimal places, and I forgot the word "t" and the word "not," and I need to take out a word "by" for a motion when we approve the SB1.
Jody, I believe that should be now, not by.
I thought it was not. Is it not? Oh, you're right.
It's now dealt with, I think is what you're trying to say.
Probably ought to change that again then in here.
Is that, am I not remembering correctly?
Yes, it was now resolved is what the sentence
Yeah,
shall
makes
say.
sense.
So, if there are any other corrections, I shall change those as well.
With those corrections, if there's no others, they'll stand approved as corrected. First, next item on the agenda, update of project status for Veterans Way, Phase 2. Mr. May, do you have anything to report to us?
Good evening. Not a lot. It's kind of in hold. We're still working on that last parcel. The work for the building demolition that we talked about last month was concluded. You have tonight in your claims payments for the dumpsters. They came in less than our original estimate, so that was good. There will be an additional appropriation going before council in their September meeting for $1 million out of 803, which is the bond fund, anticipating that we will know the amount of that last piece of right-of-way. So with that appropriation, payment could be made pretty much instantaneously, and we can clean that process up. So the council could hear that on first reading in September and on second and final reading in October. So, and I'm anticipating we're probably 30 to 60 days from knowing that number. So that could be cleaned up. The other thing, we are in the budget process here at the city, and for next year, this is not specifically Veterans Way here, but it's anticipated there'll be about $1,050,000 received from the 2 tax settlements next year, and the budget will show all of that money in the line item for other services and charges. And then for 803, in the past, your 803 fund was, I think, $1 budgeted in there. And since we're doing a better job, the city is doing a better job, the budget will include all of the anticipated expenditures for Veterans Way in 2020, so that there won't be need for additional appropriations. It just all be covered. All of this money would come from bond draws, and there's line items here for anticipated right-of-way purchases, right-of-way services from our consultant, utility relocation work, construction engineering, and construction, and the legal fees. And one of the weird things, because of the reimbursements, you end up sort of paying the 80% amount twice. You don't really, but it comes into the account, you send it out, it comes back into the account, you send it out again to repay the bond. So it's, you're gonna spend around $600,000 or $700,000 next year if these estimates are any good. But it takes $2.5 million to do that. It's just a very strange process. It's the way the numbers work, but that's where it needs to be. That will all be out of bond draws as they are needed. So, you know, I didn't bring copies for all of you. I should have. I apologize for that. But these are what the numbers look like, and that's why we'll be.
You want to take,
We'll take that over there.
Well, no, they're two different.
Oh,
accounts.
I'll take that.
I thought I noticed there was no line item for any additional projects we might incur for next year. Is that correct?
The only, so we call it discretionary funds, that the only thing, as I understand the bond, you can only use that for Veterans Way.
Okay.
So the only discretionary expenditures you have is your 802 account. That is all in a somewhat general line
Okay.
that is, you can probably use for anything.
What's the construction engineering item here?
Those
324.
will be the services of our consultant that will do the inspection and construction documentation during construction.
Not necessarily the construction report.
Actually, it will be them
Will
only
be them.
because we've been through that selection process.
Okay.
And they were selected and they're actually under contract with us right
Okay.
now, waiting to start this. That is a reimbursable amount.
Okay.
So, and the state, the construction cost is actually only our 20% because we pay that to the state. And then the state pays the contractor during construction. So that is not money that we pay out and get back and repay. We just pay it out up front. At the end of the project, there's a final audit and there'll be some minor adjustments. We'll owe the state a little money or they'll owe us a little money.
Do we need to update our project list at all for the budget? Or is it, because so much of it's going to Veterans Way, it doesn't really matter at this point?
I think
You
with
have-
what we discussed and talked about, I think we don't, at this point, we don't have to update the project list.
You have about $1 million coming in anticipated from the two tax settlements. You pay roughly $500,000 in two principal and interest payments, so you've got about $500,000 that's discretionary. I recall the school asked you for $150,000 a year again, is that?
Which we, and that's completed. That,
But didn't they come back and ask for that for
regardless
regardless?
of any formal request,
Yeah,
Okay.
they did not submit a formal request.
Okay.
So that, we had it on the project list, we actually redid the project list to put
For
that
a
on
year
there
and a half
for
ago,
that.
yeah.
And it was more than a year and a half because they got it first year, then they got the
That's right.
following.
2017, so
We
we
did it
did it
for 3
in
years.
2017,
Yeah, 3 years.
2018, 2019, so.
You have, as I recall, 10 or 11 items which we've knocked off Lincoln Street and Italy will soon knock off Veterans Way,
Yeah.
but you still have 8 or 9
Yeah, we
Right.
still have,
projects there.
What are the other 8 items?
everything from, so you got it?
The railroad grade separation was one of
Yeah,
them.
the third one is reconstruction of Freeland Road along with the multi-use path from the Decatur County Schools Administration Building to Lincoln Street and Veterans Way via Freeland Road. Finish Lincoln Street, which is completed. E, reconstruction of Moscow Road from North Michigan Avenue to Veterans Way.
That's done,
No.
isn't it? What do you mean by
No, no,
reconstruction?
Widening.
Curb and gutter,
Curb, gutter,
drainage,
drainage,
sidewalk,
yeah.
or multi-use path, complete reconstruction.
Yeah.
Then the next item, construct multi-use path from existing path to Lincoln Street via Barishell Lane. Reconstruction of North Michigan Avenue from the bypass to North Ireland Street. Reconstruct Broadway Street from
Gotcha.
Veterans Way to downtown.
North Michigan goes past the fire station.
So like, same thing, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, okay.
From the bypass all the way down.
I would suggest that could look something like was done on North Lincoln, if you recall North Lincoln 10 years ago to what it is now. That kind of an improvement is
Yeah.
what I always thought about.
Recreational opportunities or investment at Rebecca Park.
We earmarked that money,
For the soccer fields.
well, for actually parking, I think is what we earmarked it for, parking, lighting, or something of that nature. We have to go back. But it's earmarked, but we haven't done anything with it as far as approval of whatever they want.
And then multi-use path from Veterans Way to the city park. Which is a long path.
And that would be, that's when we talked about as a county TIF being involved in that as well. So that would have to be a joint venture before we did that one.
And the last item was the Ireland Street extension.
Yes.
The
Maybe
road
the
railroad.
railroad separation.
And this was dated 19 January 2017.
Year and a half ago.
2.5.
2.5 years ago.
2.5.
Yes.
Yeah, it was right before I started.
So that's our project list. So if the school want anything, or if we need to do anything different, we'll have to redo our project list.
How much, I know I'm probably getting off topic a little bit, but how much more do we have to, we've got Lincoln Street paid off, right? That's-
Yes, it's 100% paid.
What about Veterans Way?
Wherever the 803 fund got to, you are going to have, based on where we are today, what we think,
Isn't it like 8 million?
no. In real round numbers, you are going to have about probably $1.2 million to $1.5 million left to pay the rest of Veterans Way. Now, there'll be more than that, but there'll be some reimbursements, so at the end of the day, you're gonna increase the bond by, let's say, $1.5 million.
Of course, we can pay that out with bond draws.
Yes,
And then pay
that
the
will all
bond.
come from the bond, is my
Bond
vision.
back.
That's without the last parcel, correct?
That includes paying for that last parcel.
It includes, okay.
Yeah. That's your part. That's your
That's our part,
20%.
Yeah, that's our 20%, okay. Okay.
So you'll pay out more than that as we go forward, but 80% of, most of that will come back.
So we're about 4.5 on actual road work, right?
Uh,
It's in
the,
four something.
actually, the current estimate is under 3 million, I think,
Oh, is it?
I believe.
This says 4.5.
I thought it was close to 4.5 too.
That was the original estimate, I believe.
Okay.
As we developed the design,
Okay,
it got better.
okay, good.
So, I mean, if we spend all the $1 million we get every year, 2 or 3 years, we'd have
But no other projects paid for it.
Understand.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're gonna find, your next item is to talk about this repayment, but after that repayment, you're gonna be about $1.8 million, $1.9 million in the bond. If you're at $3 million, you pay that off in 6 years and still have $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
These are very round numbers, please don't.
Yeah.
You could still have $500,000 a year to spend on other things, and if you identify a major project, you might want to look at some kind of additional financing.
And that would be number 3 on the list tonight.
So
I'm sorry.
what we can't,
That would be number 3 on the list tonight.
so we have to be careful though, is we can't pull out anymore from, so if we had an additional project come up. So what we've done in the past is we said, here's our bank account, and we've thrown it at any kind of bill we have, instead of doing some draws that we should have done. And so then we've gotten to where we're, gonna have less cash in the bank, where we probably should have drawn out a little bit more in the past on a few things.
There was also
We
a
have more
discussion
cash.
with both Baker Tilly and the bank that maybe you could go back
It's gonna be tough.
and make draws on money that you expended for Veterans Way.
That we paid on
Out of the
hand, out of the,
802.
yeah, that we paid on 802, and that's where we did the restructure of the bond. That was something that was brought up, but it's gonna be a lot of work to get.
We'd
there.
have to verify.
I'd almost rather just,
Not
if we
do
paid
that.
it all, we paid it all.
Yeah, I agree.
Why bring out
Yeah.
more debt?
I'm with you.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. I think it's gonna be too much.
What it
work to
is
go back.
is a contractual way to use some of that cash for other projects.
I don't wanna sit here and not do anything for the next year, because we've been waiting on a parcel for 12 months though.
I was just
So if
trying to
it-
think,
No,
how
I
much
know, I
money
see
we have
it's,
to work.
it's the devil's advocate, honestly, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I see both directions, but.
We'll have more money in April if that helps you.
But do we wanna talk about the repayment now? And we'll kind of
Yes, why don't we
venture
move to
to
item
that?
2?
Yes.
We're sort of discussing that.
Yeah, okay, what that is, there were 2 draws made in 2018 that were used to purchase right-of-way from Village Partners, which is the Edgewater apartment property, and also from somebody known as 4040 Airport LLC, which is the Greensburg Commons property. You received 80% reimbursement on the Village Partners property. You received about, I forget the number, 65,000, because that's all that was left for the airport, 4040 Airport LLC, which comes to a total of whatever that number is, $727,311.91.
Yes.
When Baker Tilly looked at all of that, and when the bank, we talked with the bank about it, they said that the bond agreement requires that when you got that reimbursement from the state, because you borrowed that money from the bond, you need to pay that back to the principal. So this is paying that back.
So it's just sitting in our account, we haven't, I mean, it's just
We
sitting.
just have to vote to do it.
Yeah, we just gotta pay it back.
And actually, there was a claim in your pile of claims to do
Yes.
that.
So it would have been nice if they had told us that in May when we made the bond payment.
Got the second
I
check.
think it's, yeah, it's just there, it's just sitting in the bank account.
When's our next settlement coming?
Property tax settlement coming probably in December.
Will we have enough, if we pay that, will we have enough cash? When do we need to pay that? First of all, when do we need to pay
Pay the,
that bond?
the 700,000s
Right.
soon.
Okay.
That was the answer I got. I don't want to.
In about 10 minutes, bro.
They want the
That's what I
repayment.
said yesterday.
Give them a post-dated check.
And so that'll leave us about 150,000 cash. Is that enough?
Yeah,
to get us
I'm
to
a little
December?
confused by that number, because the number I'd seen earlier today was more like $250,000.
Yes, because we don't have anything else outstanding, do we?
Right.
To pay.
Correct.
You will receive about $500,000 in December, I believe, and you will make a payment in January on principal and interest on the bond.
About 257.
Well, in July, we paid 271, so I think it'll be a comparable.
So it'll be a little bit tighter until we get spring settlement.
Exactly, and then we'll be able to look at something.
So you need a motion, I assume?
It's all
You may want to
claims.
deal with it in your claims, or
Yeah.
however you.
Oh,
want to
that's
do
right,
it.
sorry.
No problem. Item number 3, Indiana Department of Natural Resources Next Level Trails Funding.
I was hoping that Shannon would be here because she expressed some knowledge about this, and I had sent all of you some information about next level trails. This is a guesstimate, I wouldn't even call it an estimate, but I looked very quickly at a trail from the end of the East Side Trail, is that the name? The East Side Trail at the county school administration offices, continue that up to Freeland Road, across Freeland Road, and somehow get back down to the intersection of Lincoln and State Road 3 bypass. One of the things that does is connects two of our existing trails, and that's one of the things this next level trail thing talked about it being desirable for a local, because this would be a local, this would not be a regional trail, so you'd be looking at the local.
And it is on our project list.
It is on the project list.
And it connects to Veterans Way, which possibly could be used as a block
I'm sorry.
in a very gray nature.
You need to discuss that with legal counsel.
I
Leave
think
your,
I was under advisement when I.
leave your engineer out of this one. So that is about 8/500ths of a mile to go that way. That's dealing with either 22 or 8 properties, depending on which side of the street you'd be on. So I just said, well, what if? And I'm saying $1.5 million would maybe pay for all of it, including project development, right-of-way acquisition, whatever. And maybe some of the right-of-way can be donated or maybe not. And you can soft match this money. As I read the literature from the state, they say a minimum of 20% local contribution, but they indicate that the money is very competitive and many communities offer more, which makes their application more attractive, I'm certain. So if you say 25%, just for the heck of it, the local share, if these numbers are any good, is $380,000. And the rest would come from the state. For locally significant projects, if we could be there, it's not the one I wanted. Maybe that is the one I wanted. I think you can have up to $2 million for a project. Yes, $2 million per applicant. There's a total of 3 rounds of these. 1 is already complete. This is round 2, and they're saying they think there'll be 1 in 2020. There's $5 million total, I believe, statewide for local trails. Not a lot of money in the big picture. They want several things in here. They would really love to have a complete plan, ready to bid it. They would love to have either, they want the right-of-way either acquired or firm commitments from all the property owners. There are several things that would need to happen. The application period, I don't remember, was that October, early October to the end of October?
That's right.
End of October.
Yeah, it's the application opening period is 6 weeks from where we are, or 10 weeks from the closing time. That would be probably challenging to get this stuff together. And I think Shannon said the same thing in her email, that if we think we're.
She was a little skeptical, I felt.
I think she's
also
realistic.
personally writing for grants for other people competing for it, so.
Yeah, I think she's realistic that it is very competitive, and perhaps waiting until next year not
Yeah.
waiting, because if we think we would want to do it next year, we probably want to get started now, getting a good application together.
To get 75% funding would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
We gotta have money to spend it though, and 381,000's not on our plate right now before October.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to give it up till next year, right? We wouldn't be bidding it out till next year.
Correct, but, well, I envision that we want to hire a consultant to do the design work, and that work would need to go on soon. In fact, if we think we want to apply next year, we probably need to be soliciting letters of interest from consultants, and probably select someone and bring them on to do, takes a little bit of design work to figure out what right of way you need. You have to figure out, do you want to be on the north side of Freeland Road, which has a smaller number of properties but less room to work with? Probably. There isn't any room to speak of across Walmart. But if you're on the south side, you got all those individual properties, and that's where you get into 20-some parcels. But figuring out some of those things and doing at the very least, a very preliminary design, so you know better estimates and areas of right-of-way needed. that
One of
sort
our,
of thing.
but one of the items on our project list is to connect the path from the existing down Barishal Lane over to Lincoln. I wonder if that's something that would qualify under this next level
I
trail.
would say yes.
Did we run an issue with the bridge though?
Yeah, was the
The
bridge like a fortune?
cost of, one of the problems with that grant that we received was it was only $150,000. And I don't want to make light of $150,000, but in today's construction and compliance world, that's not very much money. And if we go down Barishal, then we're still faced with crossing Gas Creek. There's a lot of permitting there, some additional environmental considerations. It would be harder, well, we can make Barishal reach on further east and connect to that trail. We can connect a sidewalk on Lincoln and say that sidewalk is a part of connecting on up to North Lincoln. The thing about the Freeland Road alignment, if we end up at the intersection of Lincoln and State Road 3, as soon as you cross State Road 3, there's the trail. So it's a more direct connection. But I mean, it could be either one. It's money.
We connect larger amount of mileage too, which is a big draw to the city. And honestly, we only have so many years left on the Walmart TIF. I think we haven't done anything directly for Walmart at Walmart. I feel like this would be a goodwill sign. Because there's nothing else on our project list that really is directly in front of, does anything quality of life for Walmart, right?
Right.
I think
It's something that has to be planned out long term. But
Yeah.
I feel like we have, just like everything else, if we don't look for grants and start approaching the thoughts now, we're just gonna
How
put
often
them
is
off.
this grant offered? Is this a yearly?
I
It
think,
was a special opportunity.
I think this is a
offer.
one-time,
Yeah,
I forget the total dollars available.
was it like 30 million, 60 million, Josh, do you?
It was 90 million over 3 years. The first year was 25 million, this year's 30 million.
Yeah.
And the rest will be next year, so.
And that's the end of it, unless, I don't think it's a long-term situation. I think there were gonna be these 3 opportunities, and then they'll figure out if there's any more. But nothing
I mean,
guaranteed.
is it realistic for even these, for the engineering, environmental, and the easement to all be done before November 1st?
No,
Chance
I don't
it
think
has to
so.
be done is November
Yeah.
1st. I wonder if it would behoove us as we think about some of these other projects, to work with somebody to design what it might look like, what the cost might be, like we did with the railroad, so that if an opportunity does come up like this, we have something that we've already
I've noticed over the years in doing this kind of work that communities sometimes have a difficult time making the decision to make the upfront investment. But if you really believe that you're gonna do the project someday, whenever you can, when you find a way to pay for it all, you're expending funds, but you're not wasting those funds. The information that's garnered and the decisions that are made will always be there in the future when you get the opportunity. So it's a real good faith effort to say you're serious about doing the project. And I think that plays well by agencies that have to review these applications. You know, here's a community that was willing to invest in this ahead of time.
So when we did the project list in 2017, we tried to throw rough ideas of how much each project was. I think having someone look at all those projects and try to give us a roundabout number of an educated number of what they think it'd be, I think is really smart. If we had $10 million sitting here, I'd say, yeah, let's go match this and go for it. Personally, just my thoughts, I think about a 75% match on a trail is great. I love trails, I'm not against trails. Then I think about, okay, what if we had a 75% match on a road that fixes curb, gutter, and is a main entrance to our actual town? I think about people who drive through this town. They're not driving through the town, going on the other side of town, looking for a nice trail to walk. The first thing they're looking at is our entrances to this town. And I think we have a lot of roads that need improved. I'm not against trails, but I think there's a lot of room there. When people come through this town and go, wow, it's a nice town. What amenities do they have? Not, oh my gosh, there has to be 50 broken cars down there. I heard they have a nice walking trail. It doesn't catch them. You know, I think we need to clean up our entrances before we, our roads, and repair some of the roads that have been getting ran down for years before we take what's left in the kitty and try to chase something that seems like it may be very difficult to get, at least this year. That's just my opinion.
Is it realistic to solicit letters of interest from consultants? And, you know, look
There
at
will
some
be
of those items on our project list,
Or for the whole thing? Sure.
or this only?
Why would we could just do the trails? I mean, I don't know, an environmental, I like, Batesville is using the milled up road that they have, the roads they're milling up from community crossings, and making new trails with the milling. I mean, I feel like there's, you know, I know you don't think it looks aesthetically pleasing, but at least people like it. People are using them and people are excited.
We can add a
And
little bit
they
to
have
it,
lots
regenerate
more
it.
mileage of trails than we do. And I know that the entrances are important, but we really can't touch Michigan until the federal, aren't they doing a project first and we have to wait? Didn't we miss the boat on being able to do our project alongside?
From State Road 3 to either Ireland or Main Street. The only work that NDOT is doing there is at the intersection with State Road 3, so, and they'll be done with that in a few months here. So we would be planning this for 2 or 3 years.
Isn't there something further than north?
There is
By
work.
like Harvest to the fire department, isn't that, I thought that's scheduled for like 2022. I saw it on the map, like, this
I
week.
don't believe so.
Okay.
Main Street is, but I don't believe there's anything on North Michigan. They're going to be working on North Michigan from State Road 3 out to the Honda interchange. That's part of the project that's ongoing right now. But that part is in reasonably good condition other than some pavement degradation. The part that I think could use assistance is from State Road 3. as
I
far
thought
as
there was
you
a
wanna go.
specific conversation we all had that we missed the boat on putting sidewalks on the project from the fire
That was-
station north to the bypass
That
because
was that 2 years ago when that was over? That was the boat that was missed, when NDOT spent money on the pavement.
So when you talk about improving the roads, are you talking about curbs, the gutters, the sidewalks adjacent to them?
Yeah.
Is it your vision, Adam, that it would be something like was done with Lincoln Street on the north end?
I guess my thought, it would be nice if everything matched North Lincoln and downtown. I think we have a downtown right now, we had a South Lincoln, North Lincoln, I mean, it was just all, we have a lot of roads that don't match. And we're doing a lot of great things with these. I'm not against trails. I like the trails, I go on the trails, I'm not against them. But then I look around at some of the areas that it seems like we haven't put dollars in yet, which is fine, but we're talking, stuff that if we let go another 10 years and we aren't good stewards with that area, then who's gonna wanna drive on, who's gonna go past those places? I'm not saying there's certain sides of town that haven't been taken care of, but if you look at where businesses are coming in, Lincoln Street's hot. If you look at the places that are going out, there are certain sides of this town that factories have been and closed down, and everything around is closed and has been left to the side. I just would hate for that to continue happening around our town.
I think there was a real synergistic effect on North Lincoln.
Sure.
Where the road was not that pleasing in some of the adjoining businesses. And when the road and the sidewalks and the curb and gutters and everything got nicer, the businesses.
And I think that can happen in other areas as well.
Yes.
And I think that's the whole idea. If you fix the road, I think you're gonna fix some businesses that are using sidewalks as parking lots and changing their oil on the parking lots or on the sidewalk. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So when I was a kid, I went to the YMCA. I rode my bike. As a kid now, you cannot ride your bike to the YMCA without getting on the main road itself. And you look at stuff like that and you go, wow, that's important. Trails are important, but fixing that road and getting access to places like the Y, I think is even more important for
When
them.
I was a kid, I could ride my bike to Walmart. Can't now. Same difference.
Yeah, you can.
Same way though, I would ride my bike just as unsafe to Walmart as it would be riding it to the Y.
I didn't say it was safe. I said you could do it.
I mean, I was allowed to ride everywhere back there. That was one of the reasons why I came on this board, was because we're developing where I grew up. Veterans Way is where I had my childhood. And it would actually, if we could get a sidewalk or the trail to connect from the county building to what will be Veterans Way and a completed roadway in a year and a half, 2 years, we'll be done on that side. We won't have to do anything. There's nothing left up there. It'll be complete. So we've actually completed a whole section and connected everything from Main Street all the way to 421. I feel like that says a lot more than doing disconnected spots everywhere. I don't know. That's just the way I
If
see
we
it.
would solicit letters of intent from consulting firms, give us a specific plan for maybe these trails, but if they could do a little bit of study and tell us what it would take to reconstruct Broadway from Veterans Way to downtown and North Michigan from the bypass. If they could tell us what these other uncompleted projects on our project list.
Somewhat broad brush, but not.
Yes, so that, that's 10
but not
times
just
the
a
cost of
guess.
that one.
Yeah. So you'd have
Is
order of
that a
magnitude.
realistic-
Sure. It's just how much you want to spend.
Smart.
Well, how much do you think that would cost?
Would it cost any more than the engineering we paid for like the railroad?
This would be the preliminary planning stages of the design work. And depending on how broad you want to look at this, you're going to have projects in there that either you may never get to them, or they're pretty far out in the future. But it's a planning tool. And you're going to have a little better knowledge about where to put your money and how far it can go. One of the things I guess I'll say about planning is never finished. It's always a living document. It always changes, because as you move forward and learn more, you see something else came along and influenced what was thought about in the beginning, and it needs to be adjusted accordingly.
I really do appreciate the way the project list looks to connect the two sides of 3. Living on the west side of 3, really it's the only safe way to get it. I mean, you can get across the other side, but it's not very safe.
The safe way is to drive across.
Just to drive across and to be able, like Jody's talking about, to have that connection down Moscow Road, down Michigan, and coming across Veterans Way, and then across over to either Freeland or Parrish. I think there's a lot of value in that. And that's what I would be most interested in seeing. What would the cost be to develop that kind of connectivity? And I think, part of what you're talking about, with Moscow Road in Michigan and improving that, I live on Moscow Road. I know how many people walk up and down that road every day. It's a lot of people.
It's relatively
I
narrow,
like it.
there is no sidewalk.
Walk it, no sidewalk, it's narrow.
There's
cars
no real
speed.
shoulders in a lot of places.
And then they cross Michigan, which is a very unsafe intersection if you're a pedestrian. So, and then to be able to connect the entire length of the city, that's what I would like to focus on. If we were to hire somebody to do some kind of preliminary planning.
I just wonder if it might be a little bit more cost efficient, instead of hiring a firm this year to look at next level trails, and then next year, tell us what it would cost for North Michigan Avenue, and the next year, tell us what it costs for Broadway. Can we just pin it, have
Instead of doing all
somebody do it all at one time?
Yeah.
Here's
That makes
where we
sense.
are, and
But you think about like Moscow Road in Michigan Road, I mean, those would be eligible for community
Yeah.
crossing, would they?
Yes, they could also be eligible for federal highway funding, perhaps 80-20 money.
So,
That's longer term, but still.
right, so there's a little bit more money available, I think, for those kind of road improvements, and so maybe what you are talking about is start with the trail first, and get an idea of how much that is, since we know that might be something that comes more infrequently, and we'd be in a better shape to prepare for that. Because for the road grants, we've gotten pretty good at that, applying for the crossing grants. putting
We've
that
had
together.
some success.
I don't know,
You and Mark have a
Just thinking
master's
out loud.
in community crossing grants.
Well, we failed miserably a year ago, we got nothing, so. But previous years, we got funded, we're hopeful that what we put out for applications at the moment is gonna be successful.
Can you read that list again?
the
Project list.
project, sure. Reconstruction Freeland Road along with a multi-use path from the School Administration Building to Lincoln Street and Veterans Way, via Freeland Road.
Let me interrupt right here, this next, whatever trails would not be reconstruction of Freeland Road, it would simply be constructing a trail along Freeland.
That's what our project list says.
I understand, I'm just saying that they're a little bit apples and oranges, not entirely.
Okay.
Another one, reconstruction of Moscow Road from North Michigan to Veterans Way. Construct multi-use path from existing path to Lincoln Street via Barishell Lane. Reconstruction of North Michigan Avenue from the bypass to North Ireland. Reconstruct Broadway from Veterans Way to downtown. Recreational opportunities at Rebecca Park. Multi-use path from Veterans Way to City Park and Ireland Street extension.
And the Ireland Street extension actually morphed into more a grade separation of the railroad somewhere.
Yeah. Which is why it's last on the list, it was the most expensive, but also the one that we thought that it might not roll around as much, possibility wise, so it's last for that reason.
Well, wouldn't the trail from Veterans Way to the city park probably be the most expensive? And then we would have to have a railroad bridge for that too.
It's the greatest distance for sure.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to cross the railroad.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a
definitely
few
probably
there that are.
partner with the county on that.
I don't know, I feel like anything with the railroads, a pipe train, that would be lovely, but definitely need the right grants to fund for those.
There are a lot of difficult decisions to make about a trail to the city park.
Yeah.
There are a lot of challenges there.
I think the timeline is so challenging for this year for the next level trails. As much as I'd like to say let's jump on it, I don't think it's.
But if we don't start, we won't be able to jump
Well,
on it next year either, and then we'll have missed.
well,
an
that's my point
opportunity,
about-
yeah.
getting letters of intent, solicitation letters from consulting firms to help us get going on a plan here in 2 months or 3 months for next year.
Would you want,
You want a motion? I would make a motion that we search letters of intent for the estimated cost for the remaining.
we say letters of interest?
Yes, for the remaining projects on our list.
Would you want to invite 2 or 3 of them to your next meeting to make presentations to you about what services they can deliver, and
I think that-
you meet
Yeah.
them and
Yeah.
get a feel for who they are and what they're talking about and how they can help and,
Mhm.
That's good.
Yes,
what's your comfort level, 3?
3 would probably be plenty.
I think it's the most.
Mhm.
If you all have any preferences as to who, let me know, otherwise I'll,
I don't really know who all the main players in that field are.
yeah.
I mean, I think maybe a wide variety of, because there are a wide variety of areas. So maybe somebody that has strength in recreational, and then somebody with a strength in roads, maybe a middleman.
Mhm.
You would be more of an expert than the 4 of us, probably.
Okay.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other discussion about this? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Our next item, resolution for updated parcel list for the TIF expansion area.
A while back, there was a piece of right-of-way that came off of North Michigan Avenue and went into West Ridge subdivision. And when Veterans Way, Memorial Way was planned and designed, it was nearly immediately adjacent to that, and the need for that piece of right-of-way was removed. And the adjoining property owner came to the city maybe 3 years ago, I don't remember now, and said, we would like that vacated, and he got agreement from all the neighbors and said, we would like that right-of-way, which is a pretty good sized piece of ground. I think there's a half acre maybe.
That's right, it's on that corner, right?
Yeah, and we'd like it put with the property on the west side. And so the city went through the process and vacated that, and that vacation agreement said put it with that property on the west side. And it's the property where the new convenience store and the new restaurant is. We did that without thinking about the TIF attainment area, if that's the right term. When we sent the ordinance over to the county, they looked at it and said, this is a problem for us because that right-of-way was never in the attainment area, but the adjoining property that it was made a part of is. So it's an assessment issue and a taxation issue. And the county said that it's really needs to either all be in the district or not in the district. And Chris has drafted a resolution, and I'm going to let Chris speak to this a little bit, but as I understand it, if you adopt this resolution, then that becomes a part of the district.
Yes. So just updates the area to include that one parcel. It reaffirms what has already been done and is already out there as the existing.
In a way, it's more of a formality.
I mean, there's no negatives to adopting it, right?
This is the property across from,
It's the shells.
it's the shell, right?
It's the
Yeah.
shells.
The new one, very new one, yeah.
It's already been debated. I mean, it's already debated, so that's part of the issue is the, how you tax it. It's debated in,
Well,
but it's not in our area. It's been identified as.
No, this is that's a different issue. What you're speaking of, we approved the abatement for the current shell station in operation. We
Right.
approved it. So they came to us and we did it. There's another one that we,
Actually, probably thinking that
It was ours.
all was in the district,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
yes, where we really only had the sidewalks, curbs, and air pump.
So we just need a motion to adopt the resolution. So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Chris, does this resolution become recorded? And that's how the county will know that we did this, so they'll know how.
What do you need to send?
And do you all have copies of the resolution?
He emailed it to
Does anybody bring one with them for signatures?
us. Oh, but not this
No, I did not. No, I did not. That's not in here.
Chris has.
Does it need to be in blue?
What number are we going with? Let's see if we figure that out.
Well, it's a county resolution, so do whatever they call it.
No, it's your resolution.
It's our resolution.
I think the way the city does it is all the different bodies that resolve things, there's a continuous string of numbers. You don't have your own numbering scheme, you're a part of the big family.
Do we need to do anything with this?
Yes.
What do we need to do? We make a request that.
You need to decide